Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I just finished a 9-hour stream and I realized I did this YouTube video incorrect. So I was kind of walking through the patch notes with you guys for September 5th, not patch notes, hotfixes rather, and I kind of read them incorrectly. So I'm going to redo the video, go over them fresh with you guys. But let's jump right into it because I'm tired. It is 5 a.m. and this video is about to go live right after this, actually. So yeah, player versus player. Let's kind of walk you through the patch notes. You guys can stay up to date on what's going on. I like to do these videos with you guys because there are so many hotfixes and changes. So you guys can stay up to date and know actually like how to compete in PvP when all of these little minor changes are going around. So I'm going to walk you through them and kind of let you know what they mean for PvP. So first off, player versus players. Players have a 30% reduced chance to dodge and parry attacks while in PvP situations was 20%. This was the one I misread when I first read it, and that's why I'm redoing the video. 30% reduced chance to dodge and parry was 20% means what I thought it meant was that players are going to dodge and parry more, but what it means is they're going to dodge and parry less, which is a buff and a nerf. It's kind of a wash, right? So melee classes are going to have their stuff parried more, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, or parried less, which means they're going to do more, but at the same time, it's going to be a little less RNG. So I thought this was going to be a huge change, and in the previous video, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to parry so much more, and melees are going to be weak, but that's not really what it means at all. So there's that. A slight change from 30% was 20%. Okay, stealth effects no longer will be removed when Dalaran Sewer starts. This is just a bug fix, simply put. Should have never been in the game. I never even noticed this, but cool that they fixed things before I even noticed it. So thumbs up to Blizzard there. So let's get into the meat of it. Death Knights, Unholy Death Knights. Crypt Fever damage reduced by 25%. Crypt Fever did so much damage from Unholy Death Knights. This is a good nerf, but Frost DKs are really what most people are playing right now, but this was one of the OP parts of Unholy Death Knight. PvP template strength reduced by 2%. 2% is such a small number, but I think it is 2% in the right direction. So Blizzard's like taking baby steps in the right direction, right? It would have been like worse if it like was increased by 2%, right? So 2% seems small, but at least we're going, you know, the right way, 2% in the right way. But to be fair, if it was like 10% strength reduced or 8% strength reduced, that's a lot, right? That's huge. So I'm glad Blizzard's kind of taking it slow, nerfing things just a little bit, and then going from there instead of just, you know, jumping the gun, 10% nerfs here and there, right? So I'm happy with this. Frost DKs, 3% reduction on their strength PvP template. So they're going to be, you know, hit a little bit less hard, just like Unholy Death Knights. This is good. I still think DKs are going to be in the meta. They're one of the best classes in the entire game right now. So a 2% nerf, 3% nerf isn't going to be that big of a deal. Windwalker Frost DK is still going to be a good comp, etc., etc. Moving down a little bit, Havoc Demon Hunters. PvP template agility reduced by 3%. So once again, a bunch of small changes to all the melee classes. And this is because all of the melee cleaves are super strong right now in PvP. There's almost no wizards that you see on ladder up until this hotfix went in. I played today after the hotfixes, and now you see a lot more wizards, so that's good. But before this, it was melee cleave almost every single game. So all of these minor changes are definitely helping. Balanced Druid, Circadian Invocation will no longer keep the Druid in target in combat for an extended time. I think this used to it was a bug. It would keep you in combat for like 30 seconds, give or take, and they fixed it. Finally, that's good, which means you can sap a Druid, etc. So, or drink as a Druid, so good. Very good. Brutal Slash. So this is Feral Druid. Feral Druids, guys, if you weren't aware, were extremely overpowered. Everyone was like, nerf Feral Druids, nerf Feral Druids, over and over and over. Finally, here's some Feral Druid changes. I played against Feral Druids. They're still fine on ladder, but here are the changes. Brutal Slash was the talent everyone is going. Now deals 40% less damage from PvP situations. That's like the biggest singular PvP change ever. Like 40% nerf. That's like brutally slashed in half. Like, that's crazy. That's a huge nerf. And if you're done cringing, we can move on. PvP template agility reduced by 3%. Once again, they're getting the same treatment, kind of reducing it just a little bit. But we have some Feral Druid buffs as well. So armor increased by 15%, versatility increased by 20%, which is damage and damage reduction, and stamina increased by 5%. So we have huge feral nerfs, but also feral survivability buffs. And then feral instincts, 2.5% per rank instead of 5%, so a little bit more damage nerf. So overall, ferals are doing a lot less damage, but they are a lot tankier. We'll see how this kind of plays out in the meta. I think this might make feral druids even better for something like FPS, feral Shadow Priest Shaman, and you know, kind of cleave pressure where you're just dampening and trying to survive. So yeah, this might even be a semi-buff to ferals, but if anything, it is a change, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And I'm happy with this change, because before the nerfs, people were just dying in a stun to a feral druid 100-0 in like 2.5 seconds solo, and it was crazy. So happy with that change. Windwalker Monk's Serenity increases your damage you deal by 16% in PvP situations instead of 22%. This is a good change, I think, as well. Windwalker is one of those classes with a 90-second cooldown Serenity that they're just bursting incredibly hard. But 16%, it's only a 6% nerf. It's not that big of a deal, but even without Serenity, you're still bursting hard, right? So even if you don't pop the cooldown, you're getting cooldowns. So when you pop Serenity, it's just icing on the cake type of a thing. So now it's a little less icing, but it's still icing. So I think people are probably going to still take Serenity, but I'm not sure. I think Hurricane might be the other option there. It'll be interesting to see what kind of comps. I think Windwalker Frost DK, even with the nerfs, is still going to be a pretty viable comp, though. But we're going to have to wait to find out. Holy Paladin, Avenging Crusader healing should now properly scale with versatility. I don't know if it was improperly scaling to the negative or to the positive, like if it was healing too little or too much. I'm not really sure if that's going to be a buff or a nerf, or if it was just like a 1 or 2% difference there. Not quite sure, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But having said that, all of the different changes in the meta might make Holy Paladins phase out just a little bit, because Holy Pallies are weaker against casters. Holy Pallies are stronger against melee. And since all the melee are getting nerfed, Holy Pallies might phase out of the meta just a little bit, but we're going to have to wait and see. I could be kind of wrong in that prediction based on where the meta spins or turns, but it seems like we're going to see a lot of Resto Shamans coming up here soon. Ret Paladins, Templar's Verdict, and Divine Storm got a 7% damage nerf in PvP situations. They were doing a little bit too much AoE, I think, a little bit too much damage. Did fight some Rets tonight, and they were still topping damage, so they're still really good. So if you're a Ret Pally out there watching this video, I wouldn't get too sad, but your damage is pretty crazy, and now it's a little less crazy, so that's good. Subro, guys. Roastmaster's heart is beating a little quick right now. PvP template agility reduced by 3%. They got the same treatment as the rest of the classes. I guess I'm not too sad with this. Symbols of Death now increases your damage by 10 instead of 15, so a little bit more damage off the edge of your burst. It's just you're doing a little less damage all the time, and you're doing a little less damage during your burst. And then also, Cat-like Reflexes increases dodge by 5% instead of 20%. So you're going to be dodging a lot less. You're going to be doing a little bit less damage. Having said that, I did queue my Rogue tonight. It felt fine. I think Rogues are still fine. They were really pretty OP before. They have a ton of control and a ton of burst. And now they're going to die a little bit quicker because of that dodge nerf. And they are going to burst a little, not quite as hard, but still really hard. But they still have their control. And they still have their mobility. So I think Rogues are going to be a good class still. They're just going to be... it's just like Red or something, you know. They're going to be a little bit worse, but they're still going to be really good. So all of these changes, you know, hats off to Blizzard so far. These are all changes in the right direction. It might not be like the perfect change, but, you know, we're getting there. We're walking there, and I'm happy about that. Arms Warrior PvP template strength reduced by 2%. You see this a lot. So pretty much melee nerfs across the board. And it makes perfect sense, guys. If you've been watching any of the European regionals or any of these cups for the PvP tournaments, they are all melee cleave dominated. If you're looking at ladder from 7.3, it's all melee cleaves every single game. But now with these nerfs, since I've just played 8 or 9 hours on these nerfs, we are seeing a lot more Shadow Priests, a lot more casters. And if I had to predict, I'd say Shadow Priest is the next class that is going to kind of take the reins, and everyone's gonna start saying Shadow Priest needs nerfs. But we'll have to see to find out. These are all the changes, guys. Hopefully it was, you know, good information and keep you guys up to date. If you like videos like this where I go over all of the hotfixes so you guys know what's going on in the arenas, make sure to thumbs the video up. If you didn't like the video, thumbs the video down. Talk to me in the comments below about what you guys want to see for next time, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!